Welcome back to the Hank Strange Situation, Lifestyles of the Locked and Loaded.
The elites in Washington, quite frankly, in my opinion anyway, and it's just my opinion, but the elites in Washington have certain guidelines and rules that they follow, and they can't escape the guardrails of their rules.
Yeah.
Of course, he came in and escaped every one of them. He didn't even touch the guardrail, and they just can't stand the fact that he's so unusual and approaches things so normally and rationally. It has to be this kind of very smart bunch of guys get in a room who talk brilliantly to each other, accomplish absolutely nothing, and then leave.
Yeah, making each other feel good. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's exactly what happened. Even with the Republican Party, I don't think they wanted Trump. I don't think I know some people here locally that are in the Republican Party. They actually took it over, and the old guard Republicans were kind of mad at them because they were actually campaigning for Trump.
You know, while we have all your folks out there listening, I'm going to say something that they may or may not be aware of. Everybody thinks a Republican is a conservative. Nothing could be farther from the truth. There are very few conservatives, real conservatives, and most people don't know what that is, but there are real conservatives in the Republican Party. And as an example, the Republican Party is just as hostile to conservatives as the Democrat Party is. If you look back on Reagan, and I'm old enough to, remember that and everything else, the Republican Party hated Reagan. Yeah. They couldn't stand him because he was conservative. Mm-hmm. So, there's a real breakdown in the Republican Party, and that's it. It's the Republicans, the traditional Republicans, and then conservatives. And they're always painted with a very bad brush. If you look at the Freedom Caucus, nobody likes the Freedom Caucus. Mainstream media doesn't like them. The Republican Party doesn't like them. They got to deal with these guys because they want to do things by the Constitution. It's just too troublesome.
Yeah. What kind of world is this that we're living in now? I mean, who would have thought in 2018, anytime in the past, who would have thought in 2018, wanting to follow the Constitution was going to make you a radical?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Wow, I know.
It's absolutely insane.
Or you're far right is what it is. Oh, you're so far. Well, the Constitution's like right down the middle. It's not far right of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you're a Nazi if you follow the Constitution.
And well, hang on. If he was a Nazi, all these ones talking about him would already been shot.
Yeah, right.
It don't work that way. They don't understand how that works.
Okay, but understand this. It's because Donald Trump can't do anything right. So the problem is he doesn't even know how to be a Nazi correct. think about Israel. He just moved the embassy to Jerusalem. It's like, dude, you suck even at being a Nazi.
And the world was going to end when he did that. Remember that?
Well, the world's always going to end.
People are going to die.
I'm pretty sure it's Trump's fault that volcano blew up.
Of course.
Of course it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So Chuck, you were saying that people don't really understand what it is to be a conservative.
Right.
I would like to actually know what your opinion is of that. What's the bullet points?
It's very simple. It's really simple. And the problem is most people don't know what I'm getting ready to mention. They know of it, but they don't know anything about it. Or they know very little about it. And that is the Constitution is primary to being a conservative, following the Constitution, which is the law of the land, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, embracing all three of those. Then if you do that, you are a conservative. And most people don't because we're all confused about socialism, for instance. I'll give you an example of the other side and how they're confused. With Bernie Sanders, he said, yeah, I'm a socialist, but I'm a democratic socialist. Or you hear people talking about a European socialist as if they're all different kinds of socialists. They're not.
Well, I have my example of that, Chuck. I always said my example of Bernie Sanders and his democratic socialist is like Jeffrey Dahmer saying he was a gourmet cannibal. Because it puts a different face on cannibalism. It's like, I'm not just any cannibal. I'm a gourmet cannibal. I'm not just any socialist. I'm a democratic socialist.
So it's easy with all of these things to become very confused. And this is where our politics lives. Our politics lives and thrives in confusion and chaos and complexity. As complex as they can make it, as chaotic as they can make it, as confusing as they can make it, they can get away with anything. They don't have to define anything. They can define it by saying you're a Nazi or you're a fascist
or you're a racist. You're a racist.
Yes. Right. Yeah. I mean, you name it. And that's how they define you instead of by what you really think and what you believe.
Yeah, they could just double speak you to death. I think that is the point, to confuse everyone.
Well, I misspoke.
And they're winning.
What do you mean I misspoke? I didn't mean that. I misspoke.
Well, that's Washington for I lied.
Yeah. And one thing I said before the election, the first guy that comes along, and Trump was good because he could pay his own way, and the guy that doesn't apologize every 5 minutes that he misspoke and he didn't do that, people are going to love him. And what happened?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care whether you like him or not.
I saw him today, and they were saying, well, what if you're wrong about the nuclear thing with North Korea? He said, well, we're going to find out. He said, I could be wrong about it, and I may have to apologize. I won't. I'll figure a way not to do it.
But isn't it better to do something and be wrong? Exactly. And listen, we can always bomb the living daylights out of it.
Worst come to worst, you just...
Well, of course, I know that's hyperbole, and you don't really mean that. We can. That's true. I hate to see it come to that. I mean, nobody really wants to do that. However, I don't think Trump wants to do that. It's not to say he wouldn't do it, but I don't think he wants to do it.
Kim Jong doesn't want to be Gaddafi.
No.
See, that's exactly.
And that could happen in a split second in that country. If there's a coup, he could be drug out in the street and hung upside down like Mussolini. And
yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I remember this because I grew up as I think I came to America when I was 11. So I lived outside of America during the Reagan times. And what I could tell you from living in Nigeria and other places, people saw Reagan as like the crazy cowboy, right?
Right.
That's who you're afraid of. It's almost like growing up in New York City. You have to be crazy so people leave you alone. They go, wait a second, I don't think I want to mess with that guy. They're looking for the quiet person, not trying to make eye contact and all that kind of stuff. And this is what's different. To make people pay attention, you have to do these kind of things for people to realize, we better listen to this guy. Yeah.
He's for real, yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I think. I think I saw that it's a very similar thing that happened way back then that's happening now. And obviously there's an attempt to turn it around on us, right?
This absolutely frightens the left, because they also said the same thing about George W. They said that he was a cowboy shooting from the hip, if you remember that. So the left always does those kinds of things. It's just hyperbole. He was one thing that always got me about Bush. Oh, he's an idiot. He's stupid. He's dumb. But every Republican president is an idiot, stupid, and dumb.
Yeah, but of course, he knew how to fly a jet when he was in the National Guard. I think he flew a jet, did a lot of things, and actually had a proven IQ higher than Obama ever had.
Well, this gets back to that whole thing about how you look and how you speak. And if you look intelligent, if you speak intelligently, then you're fine for the left, because then you can do anything. It's the what's the guy's name? We went over it this morning, Mark, in Italy or in England in 1938 to Neville Chamberlain.
Chamberlain.
When Chamberlain came off the plane waving this thing that he just had signed by Hitler saying peace in our time. Well, he was smart and he was, eloquent and he was eloquent.
He was proper.
Yes, exactly. But he got nothing done, obviously. And thank God Churchill figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah. But look what they did to Churchill after World War II. They turned him into the enemy too. So
it's funny. I really can't get my head around knowing as much about history as I know. I can't figure out why people always have success with the conservative right, and then after having success with it, they always go back to the socialist left. I just don't get it.
The pendulum that keeps swinging back and forward with human beings.
But it does. It's like things are just too good. Let's make them worse.
One of the things you have, Chuck, is the issue is in modern society, and especially in this country, things have gotten too good. Our people don't know what it's like to put up with, to do without anything. I mean, our poorest people in this country, we measure our poor people by how heavy they are and, what kind of cable TV they have. But I mean,
and they don't have the latest cell phone either.
Right. So, I mean, people, it is built into human brains, and it's part of the brain called an amygdala. And I want to get into it, but brains are hardwired to look for problems. And when you live in a world and you live in a society where the majority of problems have been eliminated, you continue to go look for them. Mm-hmm. And that's why we get some of this stuff. That's why we have these idiot kids that are doing what they're doing on some of the college campuses, because they have nothing to worry about. They're not even working to pay their way through school.
Yeah, well, that's also why politicians don't fix problems; they create problems. We enjoy the drama, right?
Well,
that's what we need. Bread and circuses.
This is the big problem with Trump. The Washington elites learned a long time ago, and perhaps mankind learned a long time ago in politics, that if you create problems, you have something to run on because people are unhappy, and you make them unhappy. You create the chaos around it, the complexity around it, the confusion around it. Well, Trump is a guy who solves problems. That's his job.
Right.
So he comes into the arena, starts solving all these problems. They're going, no, that's not how you do it. You could never get reelected if you solve all the problems and we don't have anything to run on.